Hello and happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And my goodness, folks, do we have a ton of stuff to get into. Obviously, breaking news yesterday. I mean, like world breaking news. Guess what, folks? Jim Ryan is an effing liar, folks. And that has been confirmed in court documents. I am very interested to see whether or not they're gonna or Microsoft is going to force Jim Ryan to appear, even if it's on video, to cross-examine him, because obviously what he said to regulators around the world was a straight up lie, and we have that confirmed with emails that everyone made available, and we'll read exactly what he had to say. It turns out that Sarah Bond is a boss, and hopefully is going to be taking over for Phil Spencer when his tenure is done, whenever that may be, because my God, is she not a rock star? She went and she did her due diligence to represent the brand, of course, of Xbox as a company and the Xbox platform in a way that I don't think we could have scripted it any better. Like, she did such amazing work. She literally destroyed the FTC attorney in every way possible. And we're going to get into that. And folks, turns out that Indiana Jones is a mother effing exclusive, and I say it's about time. And I'm going to get to I'm going to be a little messy today, folks. So bear with me. I'm not going to curse, but I'm going to be a little messy today because I was telling Dave in the green room. I don't know about you folks, but for me personally, I support everything. I'm happy to own a PlayStation 5. I buy their first party stuff. You know, you guys and gals know how much I really enjoy it. But I'm kind of tired already with the narrative that Sony can be the only one that has exclusives. Like, it's to the point of nauseum, and even like the FTC attorneys, oh, but this is exclusive and that's exclusive, and people are sad, and just ridiculous. Like, I can't believe an FTC lawyer would be using some of the most absurd, exclusive ideologies. I couldn't believe it, but we'll get into all of that. Let's get into, of course, the panel. Now, our panel's a little smaller today. We do have Dreadpool is running a little bit late, and I did. Crispy Bomb had to go into work, so we will manage. But for the next 2 hours, folks, we have a lot to cover and a lot to read. Of course, Florian Mueller on the ground, boots on the ground all day yesterday, live tweeting literally from the courtroom, and of course, we had Post Up out there putting out his opinion pieces, as well as Tom from The Verge. Tom Warren obviously has been putting out a lot of good stuff. So we're going to get into all of that. Fuzzy Belvedere, good morning, kind sir. How the heck are you?
Good morning, everyone. Doing pretty good. Glad to be here with you guys. Man, it was like a kind of like another secret show, as people were saying, with us getting Indiana Jones declared as an exclusive. You know, a lot of us thought it was going to be multi-plat, but nice to get confirmation it's going to be an exclusive. But man, all those names we made up for Jim Ryan are starting to fit in even more so. And a lot of that stuff got exposed yesterday. So a lot to get into today. Can't wait to talk about it. Glad to be here with you guys. Let's do this.
Yeah, we're going to get into it. And of course, we're going to open up with the bombshell. Dave, we were talking in the green room. We both felt that Microsoft came away the winner of round one yesterday. And not just by winner by like just, edging out the PlayStation attorneys, because that's really what they are. The FTC is basically the PlayStation attorney. And Sony's not even there to represent themselves. And it's, to me, as a tax-paying citizen of the United States, I'm disgusted. But how good morning, how are you? And we're going to get into our disgust because obviously, according to the FTC, Dave, there are only two participants in the entire video game market, one of which is Sony, which is the market leader over Xbox by leaps and bounds. And the numbers that they brought with the pie chart yesterday in court prove that. But it appears that it's only Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. So if I'm, a straight thinker, if you will, I would say that, let's see, if there are only two market participants, and Sony and FTC is trying to fight this. Wouldn't that encompass them defending the market leader when they're supposed to protect competition? I don't know. It sounds a little weird to me, but good morning.
Good morning, sir. I tell you, it was beginning to end. I listened to it yesterday, and wow, what crazy things! And today on the docket is Phil Spencer, and of course we have Phil Spencer in the chat. Welcome, Phil. But you know what, especially after they announced, which I mean, obviously, well, they really didn't want to announce it this time that we have Indiana Jones is going to be an exclusive, which is in your thumbnail, which absolutely looks awesome, by the way. But this seems more relevant than ever before.
This is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists.
And he is the one that makes that final decision on everything. And man, I'm sure he's going to get grilled on it today, and I guarantee he's going to have some wonderful answers for us.
I have absolute confidence that when Phil Spencer gets up there, Dave, he is going to do what Phil Spencer does best, and that is represent Microsoft as the head of Microsoft Gaming. He's also going to get up there in front of the lawyers for both the FTC and, of course, Activision and Microsoft, and let us know why some of these decisions were made. And obviously, there is no market harm on the FTC. Let's be fair here, folks. On the FTC's best day in their lifehood, they're not going to be able to corner anyone into saying that there is market harm. This case is as weak sauce as you could possibly be, and I would imagine that there's a reason why yesterday the FTC called their first two witnesses, meaning it was Matt Booty being one of them, which of course is the in charge of Xbox Games Studios, and of course Pete Hines, who is in charge of Bethesda. And a lot of people had criticism for both of them, specifically for Pete Hines. I don't think he handled himself as good as he could have, but to be honest with you, he did answer the questions truthfully and honestly, which that's what you got to do when you're sworn in. I mean, folks, you don't understand. If you lie on that stand, that's perjury, and you can go to jail. That is an actual thing. And I think a lot of people gave him a lot of, I want to say they gave him a lot of S because of his statements of how he felt bad for PlayStation 5 gamers, but that's how he felt, folks. Like, I don't understand why people would be angry at him. That's how he felt at the time. But he's also might have spoke out of turn. See, me, if I'm the head of anything and I get purchased, I don't make a statement. I'm like, well, listen, what I would have said is like, well, these are decisions that are above my pay grade. Starfield's going to be exclusive, and if you want to play it, you can play it on PC and you can play it on Xbox. That's how I would have handled it. I wouldn't have said I feel bad for PlayStation gamers because, to be honest with you, I don't. And this is Boom speaking. This is not Pete Hines. I don't feel bad for PlayStation gamers at all because I'm one of them. And this is the time where I'm going to get a little froggy, Dave and Fuzzy. To be honest with you, I'm tired of the rhetoric. It seems as if Sony is the only one allowed to have exclusive content and move the industry the way that they move. They're allowed to have been in first place for over 2 decades, and it's okay. No, that's all right. Don't worry. It's Sony. Sony does something obscure or something that's damaging to consumer and our faith, in the brand. No, don't worry about it. Sony. They're gonna deliver Last of Us 3. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm tired of it, folks. I am absolutely tired of it. So I cannot wait for this deal to be done. I cannot wait for Call of Duty to be an Xbox Game Pass. You can play it on your PlayStation. You can play it on PC. Hell, you can be able to play it on the Nintendo Switch. I just want my maximum value of dollars to be put to good use when it comes to Game Pass. And this deal closing is not because I'm a bot or because I'm a corporate slave or anything stupid like that. I want the best bang for my buck. And if I can get all of Activision's content in this service that I already pay for, which has gone up $2, by the way, that's perfectly fine by me. But let's get into the email exchanges from Jim Ryan. This is again. I'm reading verbatim from the report from The Verge. This was written by Tom Warren. It was posted yesterday, and he goes on to say that this is now again, I'm reading verbatim from the article. This is an email that was unearthed at the opening of yesterday's hearing, day 1, and this is the bombshell email that I think is going to ultimately doom the case for the FTC, because if you've been following it as close as we have, the FTC's whole case. Their whole case is banked upon what Jim Ryan said to regulators around the globe, and that is that PlayStation was doomed without Call of Duty. You folks remember that. As a matter of fact, while we get someone else to speak after I give you what he said, I'm going to pull his old statement and read it verbatim. But this is what Jim Ryan had to say in the unearthed email to open up yesterday's hearing. "It's not an exclusivity play at all," said Ryan. "They're thinking bigger than that, and they have the cash to make moves like this." Ryan wasn't concerned about, now again, I'm reading an article, Ryan wasn't concerned about Call of Duty exclusivity because he had spoken to Activision CEO Bobby Kotick and Xbox chief Phil Spencer, and even had reassurances from both Microsoft and from the Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella that the game would remain on PlayStation consoles. The email goes on to say that Sony has known all along. I'm sorry, I pulled the wrong one. This is part of that Jim Ryan email exchange. "We have some good stuff cooking," said Ryan, referring to Bungie. "I'm not complacent. I'd rather this hadn't happened, but we'll be okay. Will be more than okay." Now, Dave, this is as damning, I think, a way to open up a case as you could possibly get, especially when you consider how much stock the FTC has put into Sony's complaints. And I don't know how the FTC comes back from this. Now, I am going to tell you that I did just get a DM from someone where they said, and comes the way of Destin Legary. Obviously, Destin from IGN, but I more equate him to his own channel, which is pretty freaking awesome. That Sony is currently scrambling to get an email that like yesterday's email that was going to be opened, used in the opening salvo of day 2, sealed permanently. And he doesn't know if they're going to get that done in time. I don't know what that email is, folks. Your guess is as good as mine. But again, if Sony is scrambling to get something sealed, there must be something very damaging there. But let's talk about yesterday. Let's talk about Jim Ryan's email. Let's talk about how his email is completely different. I mean, mirror 180 differences from what he told regulators. And it wasn't just he told U.S. regulators, folks. He told regulators around the globe, specifically the CMA, who ultimately decided that there were no console SLCs and blocked on cloud. But let's talk about this. In your opinion, being someone who's a part of big banking and part of business on the business world, does this ultimately damage heavily the FTC's case?
I mean, they built it up that this is pretty much their whole case was to basically the allegations brought forth by Sony. I mean, that's because when they filed their lawsuit, it had amazingly a lot of quotes and lines that Sony and Jim had been using when they filed their brief. So it's like, and the wonderful part about this is the judge is allowing a lot of things. This particular new email that you were just talking about that's come to light that they're trying to stop. They're definitely, she's going to have to rule on it as to whether she thinks it's something that needs to be seen or not. And she may, determined that we should see it. She wants to hear about it. She wants to know about it. So it's Jim. I mean, is he trying to protect his company, his brand? Yes. Has he done it incredibly poorly with the way he's gone about it? God, yes. Like you said, it makes him and the company look bad because they're basically, he's caught in lie after lie, two-faced, double speak, stuff that he's like, oh, we can't do this, we can't do this, and then it's like, but the whole meantime he's like, yeah, we expect this, and it's not really going to hurt us. It's like, who are you talking to? that you're who are you trying to placate? Obviously the judicial system, they're trying to they want to, the big catch that Lena Khan said, and that, God bless her for being there on the end to hear that. And not Lena Khan, I apologize. The other lady, oh my gosh, what is her name?
What are you talking about?
Lulu?
Microsoft's attorney?
No.
Or Lulu Chang?
Lulu Chang, that's it. When she was sorry, I misspoke. But the Lulu Chang, she was there in that meeting when Jim said, I don't want.
I'm not. What Jim actually said is, I'm not. I don't want a deal. I just want to block your merger.
Yeah. And that's it clearly says it all right there. So he's doing everything he can to block the merger, for the simple fact that they know that they're not going to have the advantages anymore. The exclusivity deal that they have, and of course we've seen the margins now, the 80-20, which was, I mean, kudos to Microsoft for like seeing that they definitely needed to have the product on their platform, and they were willing to take, even a greater loss to them as a whole, but to make it available for their consumers, for their customers. So I mean, that again tells you, what they're willing to do for their customers, because they weren't making as much money, or hardly any money probably, compared to what they would have if they hadn't agreed to do this. So it's just the whole thing is just absolutely bizarre that he would try and continue to get away with it. And we had talked earlier in the green room about his why is he there in deposition form and not in person like everybody else is. And the excuse is that he's got meetings out of the country, blah blah blah. But I believe the FTC doesn't want him there. Because if he's there in person and they can cross-examine
he can get cross-examined, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They would rip him to shreds.
Yeah.
So and there's not saying that the judge can't say that, oh, I want to hear from Jim and force him to not necessarily be in court, but to at least be on a live link video conference where he can be communicated with. That, I mean, all those was in the judge preview if she decides that she wants to play that kind of hardball. But I think from the way the case is going so far, I don't really know that she has to do much more, because the FTC is pretty much hanging themselves. I mean, some of the comments they made yesterday were just so, I mean, how stupid do you have to be? So you're saying you need a Windows key to play a game on Steam? And Sarah's like, no.
Nope.
And
yeah,
and they're just kind of like shuffling through their notes, like going on to the next thing, like it was like, oh, that didn't work, let's go to something else. Man, they were just pulling stuff out of their ass. And that's the whole thing is, people are saying, well, the longer this case goes on, the more the FTC is gonna bring. No, that was their big shot, was the first day. And that's
here's one for you, Dave. This was a bit of a head scratcher for me, folks. And again, you can call me a bot, you can call me whatever you want to say. I told you why I want this to go through, right? So there's no mistaking here. But where I thought was a little weird was when the FTC attorney said in their opening statement, "Well, what we have here today is only a snippet of the evidence, but you just wait that we get to trial. We're gonna bring everything." And now again, of course, I'm paraphrasing, but that to me is a little weird, right? Like,
Yes.
why wouldn't you bring everything to try and get the injunction that you're looking for? You're going to bring pieces of evidence to try and convince the judge that there's market harm and that Sony is going to be damaged beyond recognition or repairable, unrepairable damage. I thought that was a little weird. I look, I will say this. I've never been a part of business law. I've only been a part of criminal law. I've been in many cases, many trials. I got to tell you, from the gotcha moment that the FTC was looking for, they did not get, folks. But please continue.
And exactly what you said, that they were like, we're gonna, if this gets to trial, this is basically the trial.
Yeah.
Because the judge is going to, you can just feel it in the air. It's I mean, we'll see how today goes, but I think after today, it's going to have the momentum is going to be even more on Microsoft's side, because they're not proving any harm, which is what they're supposed to be, to the consumer for this deal to go through. In fact, if anything, Microsoft is making such a good case that because they're willing to do all the above and beyond, 10 years on the cloud, 10 years, on these exclusivity for Call of Duty to pretty much anybody that wants it, even offered it to Sony, and Sony said no for now. But it's just it's absolutely crazy. And then one of the things they brought up was that like, well, would you want Microsoft to be able to have exclusive skins and armor in the market to where they couldn't use
you mean what Sony does, right? Like literally
exactly.
right now.
Exactly. And everybody's sitting there thinking, going, well, that's exactly what Sony's doing. So what's your point? And I believe I believe they'll probably either come back to that, or if it gets mentioned in any way today, that they should unload and rip to shreds that argument, that Sony gets this, and this, and this, and this now.
Right.
So why can't Microsoft? And Microsoft in maintaining them or acquiring them is just saying that the playing field is now even. If there's an extra skin, Sony's going to get it too. Everybody's going to get it. Xbox, Nintendo, Steam, everybody will get it. It'll be content parity over the whole market. And that's the way it should be for a game this size.
But again, I love how they added to the fact. It was pretty interesting how it was originally just Call of Duty, and because of the success of Diablo 4, they're like, you see, Diablo 4. How again? Diablo 4 is once every decade. You get a new Diablo. I mean, just do the math, folks. And you're probably not going to get a new Diablo. You're not going to get Diablo 5 until, I don't know, 2031, 2032, maybe, if we're still even on the planet. It's just, I just think that what's ultimately the goal for this hearing, because it's, that's what it is. It is a hearing. It's an evidence-based hearing to decide whether or not they're going to approve an injunction to stop Microsoft from the deal or deny that injunction. I think there's the FTC's is ice skating uphill with butter on their skates. I think they know that. I think all they're trying to do is stall for time. And it's and again, folks, I'm not making this up. There's a reason why both the Democratic and Republican parties have investigations opened against the head chair, Lena Khan, and the FTC for abuse of authority. They've already been sued. We already know the Supreme Court has ruled in I think it's Axon's favor. Listen, and when we continue to hear about this, it's no joke that if they were to get the injunction, not only would the deal die, but it would take 3 years for Microsoft to come back around to get this deal. No company is going to want to wait that. I think the judge is well aware of it. But let's bring in Fuzzy. Fuzzy, we have a lot to get into, but before we get to your hot takes on what everyone heard yesterday and some more quotes, we have a couple of super chats I want to get to. Simon Brandy drops a very generous £5 super chat and says the The hypocrisy from Sony and the FTC is shocking. I'm so glad indie is exclusive. The gaming media is not happy. And so sick of the double standards after media. Yes, I absolutely agree. I didn't see any of the media uproar. I mean, maybe because I was too busy involved in the case. But if you are out there and you are a media representative and you're mad because Indiana Jones is exclusive, you know what? I'm not going to be rude or disrespectful. Here's my answer to you. When Insomniac makes a Spider-Man game, which is a licensed IP for Xbox, you can have Indiana Jones. We know that's never going to happen. So my advice to you is go collect some cans, go save your pennies, ask for gift cards, stock them away in your sock drawer, and go buy an Xbox. And if you don't want to buy an Xbox because you're so anti-Xbox, and if you bought one, you might turn to stone or something, go turn on your $5,000 rig that we know that all PlayStation 5 players have. And for as low as $11 a month, you can get Xbox Game Pass and you can play Indiana Jones there. But let me continue. Gerald Mack drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, how should the FTC feel about this deal? Knowing they were gaslighted and or played by Sony made them look like fools, if you will. I don't, dude. I would be pretty upset. But I think that, again, just I don't think you got to be a gamer guy or gal to know the market. Like Sony is the market leader. They're number 7 in the world as brand recognition, and not Sony SIE. I'm talking about PlayStation is the number 7th brand that's most recognizable in the top 10 in the planet. Like that information is readily available on a Google search or your favorite search engine. All you have to do is look at the numbers that Microsoft provide. Those aren't flogged numbers. Those are actual numbers here in the state. And when you take a worldwide view, Sony is destroying Xbox. I mean, for crying out loud, in the documents I read yesterday live on the air with King David and C Money, Microsoft admitted that they already lost the console war. Like they've already lost. So they're coming at this from a different way to make money for their investors. And that's obviously through PC integration, because Xbox Game Pass PC is doing actually really good, and mobile. But Crazy G14 drops a very generous £2 super chat and says, just digging that hole, Jim, it won't save you. Crazy, you're 100% right. And thank you for the generosity. Duty paid. What's up, brother? Good morning. He drops a very generous £5 super sticker. Thank you for that, dude. Super appreciate the generosity. And Jacob Novick drops a $2 super chat and says, I re-upped Xbox Game Pass until January 19th, 2026. And like you, so did I. I am officially paid up to June 6th of 26. So I'm good. I'm good, folks. You got when you find these cards, thanks to Kay Asante, who might be in the chat, you gotta jump on board, and you gotta spend a couple of bucks to save a couple of bucks. Fuzzy, let's get into it. Jim Ryan's original quote was this. He said this: if PlayStation received a degraded version of Call of Duty, it would seriously damage our reputation. Our gamers would desert our platform in droves, and network effects would exacerbate the problem. Our business would never recover. Now, this particular statement comes off of the heels of how Call of Duty is vital to PlayStation's existence. As a matter of fact, it was confirmed by Jim Ryan himself that the monies that they get from Call of Duty is so abundant that they use it to develop their own first-party games. Now, that is a bit of a stretch when you consider what he had to say, on the unearthed emails. Now, again, I pulled up Lulu Chang Mercery's Twitter account. Well, of course, she doesn't, her claws are sharp. So the minute this thing came out, she was out there tweeting. And as per, she says this, Fuzzy, as per Jim's email, and I'll read verbatim again. It's not an Xbox exclusivity play at all. I'm pretty sure we will continue to see Call of Duty on PlayStation for many years to come. I'm not complacent, and I'd rather this hadn't happened, but we'll be okay. More than okay. Two drastic thoughts that now we know Jim Ryan lied. I hope that this continues to come up at this hearing. I hope to hear Microsoft's because what the FTC is trying to do is use Starfield and Redfall as the red herring to why Microsoft can't be trusted. But we do forget the fact, and they didn't even bother mentioning it, at least the FTC didn't, that when the deal was done with Bethesda, they honored the contracts. Phil Spencer said, we're going to honor all contracts. Deathloop, exclusive for a year. Ghostwire Tokyo, exclusive for a year. And all of the content that continues to be delivered to all platforms for Fallout 76, ESO, and other titles. Very, very different conversations from Jim. I think he should be called in, and if he's lied, he should be charged with perjury. That's just me. If I were Microsoft's attorneys, I would be pushing the envelope, because if you're going to try and call Microsoft untrustworthy, you got to look at the biggest red herring in the bunch, and that is Jim Ryan, because obviously what he logistically put pen to paper and wrote to all of these regulators is that this would damage PlayStation and that we have a fear that they're going to make it exclusive. And he really didn't feel that way. What are your thoughts on this? Because this is as big a bombshell, I think, as you can get.
It's another case of projection where they were claiming, or Jim was claiming, that Xbox would do some of the very things that either they've done or have let happen. Case in point, Callisto Protocol. They sent a bunch of devs to help that game get across the finish line towards the end of development. And somehow it was missing features only on the Xbox console versus the PlayStation model when it came to like the ray tracing in the mirrors and such. So there have been times where Sony has intentionally done some of the things that they claim that this deal could cause harm to them, but it's only because they know that a participator in this industry is doing it, which is themselves. So they're trying to protect themselves from their own harm that they've caused to Xbox to some extent. And I think that's part of the reason why Jim doesn't want to appear in person. One, the FTC probably doesn't want him there because he doesn't seem like the strongest candidate for stand or having on the stand as far as cross-examination. This is the same guy that said, who plays old games, but yet, they added old games to their premium service. The same guy that was like, we believe in generations, all of our games will be focused on the new console. And that wasn't necessarily the case until a couple of years later. So it was like actually Xbox wound up going to next gen and unsupporting their previous console faster than PlayStation. But the whole deal with Jim Ryan, it just boggles my mind that the FTC thought that this would be a good talking point to lean on to get there or push their agenda. They basically want to, pigeonhole companies or big corporations for making billion-dollar deals. Anything over $5 billion, they want to have a way to either stop it or, force some sort of, incremental change as far as how the industry is run. And the laws on the books aren't supporting it at this current time. They need to go through the proper means and have legislation, push bills through if they want that to be the case. But they relied on Jim's talking points. They stole his homework or copied his homework and, took some of his notes and stuff. And a lot of it is falling apart in crossing examination, whether it's with Pete Hines or Sarah Bond or Matt Booty. It comes down to, this was the wrong fight that the FTC picked as far as how they wanted to, throw this back in the faces of big tech or big industry in general. But it was just amazing that Jim Ryan, on one hand, tells the public, hey, this will be detrimental to our business. But yet he tells the, I guess now former CEO for Sony Incorporated or Sony Inc., at the time that, we'll be fine. We understand their power play. It's a bigger picture thing, and it was never about exclusivity. And on the flip side, in front of a camera or to the gaming media, he's saying something different. So he's played the gaming media, he's played the FTC like puppets pretty much. And normally government agencies would take offense to that and want to throw fines or have discovery hearings and things like that. But it doesn't seem like that's the case, at least from the FTC, because I guess they thought that they were making an ally with this particular Sony PlayStation executive. So it's just funny to me. I like the fact that Jim is being exposed, let's just say, and a lot of the talking points that the Sony fanboys were championing about how this should be blocked and why it should be blocked, and they were tweeting senators and politicians and regulators and stuff. And now it goes to show that even the messages that they were parroting weren't really either accurate or even believed by the people that were saying them originally. So it's cool to see. I'm hoping some of those emails that Sony is scrambling to get suppressed come to light. And I'm pretty sure they'll show some things where it's not so nice language towards Xbox or Microsoft in general, just for the fact that much like they tried to kill Sega, and they've even tried to chop Nintendo at the knees a couple of times over the years. And they've basically moved Nintendo kind of out of their way. That's why they're in kind of the low end market as far as console versus
which is the most
market.
It's what's interesting, and please, first of all, we got 700 people here, which is bonkers amazing. I was telling Dave, like yesterday we had 1,100 people in the chat, folks. That still amazes me. It's always going to amaze me that many people are going to be in any one location to hear one of my shows. It is the greatest thing I could have ever asked for. So I do ask. We are a pinch outside of 300, away from 13,000 subscribers. If you're new and you're finding the channel for the first time, I would ask that you please consider subscribing. Hit the like button while you're here, and please, if you don't mind doing the extra work, share it out. Let people know that we are live. But the thing that shocks me the most is this very small gaming makes billions of dollars per year, and I am encompassing everything. I'm talking about mobile. I'm talking about home console. You name it. Gaming makes billions of dollars. What is a bit shocking to me, Fuzzy, is how the FTC is trying to make this monster market about two competitors, meaning Xbox Series X versus PlayStation 5. And even when you do that, Sony is still the market leader by quite a bit of percentage. And this deal would, even though Call of Duty has been confirmed, it was sign a 10-year deal that they're saying that Microsoft could somehow wiggle out of. When has Microsoft wiggled out of a deal? I don't remember. I looked, I couldn't find one. The fact that you want to leave Switch, which is one of the best-selling consoles on MPDs for the last 4 years, I guess. But the fact that you're trying to take the most and the largest PC based gaming and just don't pay attention to that on the corner. That PC now don't look that way, is preposterous at best, Fuzzy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing how the FTC tried to curate this argument that would, at least in their eyes, I guess, turn out in their favor. At least they thought it would. But they actually made it harder for their argument just by pitting these two competitors against each other. I think the problem was they looked at the parent company's, wallet and was like, hey, yeah, there's no problem in the sense of, well, not just their wallet, but also their other, industries where the argument between Azure versus like the xCloud stuff, that's another one that like Sarah Bond kind of, clapped back at them about, where it's, they have the infrastructure, but they're using the consoles as opposed to already established Azure servers themselves. So there's a lot of things that the FTC tried to cherry pick that they cherry picked the worst things for their case. But it's sad to see that this has had to draw out so long, and taxpayers' dollars at the waste to some extent as far as this is concerned. But it should hopefully wrap up here soon, because I would have to believe, especially after that first day, if the FTC has something that they're holding on to that's like this bombshell, either today is the day to unveil it, or yesterday would have been probably the better day to kind of change the tone and try to put Microsoft on its heels or something to that effect. But it's looking like their best case was, a bad faith email from Jim Ryan, and it looks like he's not even in the building, so he can't. People can't throw tomatoes at him. He's going flying, lying to other people across the world kind of thing right now. So it's just funny to see. But man, I want this to wrap up so we can get stuff in Game Pass or get discounts on it because it's in Game Pass and stuff along those lines. Like I think at the end of the day, no one's going to really be hurt in this other than maybe the FTC with Lena Khan as far as her approach on doing things. But outside of that, I think as far as gamers, it gives us a lot more options. Consolidation sometimes can be a scary thing, but I think this is one of those cases where it's a lot less scary considering the playing field. And you have companies like Tencent out there that I'm waiting to see how much they dive into even mentioning that, if they even mention that in this case. But we'll see. But man, it was an awesome first day for Microsoft, I think. So
yeah. Hey, listen, we got a guest joining us. He's in the chat. I figured let me see if he wants to pop in and give us his hot take, because he's probably one of the saltiest people that I know. And I love him for it.
My man, Retry.
Really?
What's up, buddy?
When it comes to salt,
I don't know how I got this reputation, Boom. I don't know.
Master.
It's so salty, so salty. We love you for it, brother. Listen,
I
you know
guess
what
I'm
it is.
salty.
People consider it salty, but you're a truth seeker. When the
thank
things
you.
happen, you do speak the truth. But I do want to get to your hot takes. What happened yesterday? Because yesterday, I thought went unbelievably in Microsoft's favor. I said it in the beginning, but I think the superhero of the day, and might be the entire trial, is Sarah Bond.
Yeah, I agree.
I think what she did, Retry, yesterday was basically an open opt resume to taking over for Phil when he's done.
I agree, Boom. Her composure she was the best on the stand the entire day, from what I was able to hear, because it kept getting taken down off of YouTube for whatever reason. I guess it was a no, but I was trying to listen to it live. But man, I caught a lot of what she was saying, and I got to tell you, I love having her on her side, man. Like she was so composed, and every little trap that the lawyer from the other side, FTC lawyer, excuse me, was trying to make her step in, every bear trap she was trying to set up for her, she just wasn't biting. Like she just wasn't taking the bait. It was fantastic, man. She reminds me of Phil in that way, where she can just keep her stuff together and not too many emotions and whatnot. So yeah, Sarah absolutely killed it yesterday as far as I'm concerned, and so didn't the Microsoft lawyers. So
yeah.
It was,
I think they shut. I think they shut down all avenues. The FTC looked embarrassed. But listen, I want to get your take specifically on the Jim Ryan email. That's how they open this.
Yeah,
it's a bombshell. But real quick, Coachman 2236, who's been a channel member for 21 months, brother. He says, "I've been on the fence about buying a PlayStation 5, but after this nonsense, I don't want to. The behavior of the FTC and Sony is pathetic and nauseating." Well, I will tell you this. If you buy a PlayStation 5, don't buy Final Fantasy 16, because you might need to buy that and a fire extinguisher, because apparently it's causing people's console to overheat. As a matter of fact, C Money, who's in the chat, did a live stream with his family yesterday, and his live on the air while playing Final Fantasy 16 conked out for overheating. So that's actually a freaking thing, which... okay, I guess, but Retry, let's get your raw hot take on this. Jim Ryan We know what he had to say to regulators. We know that he originally was called by Phil. He was emailed. He was assured, based on the email, that he was assured by both Bobby Kotick and Phil Spencer. And on top of that, Satya Nadella, that, hey, listen, Call of Duty is not going anywhere. We're just buying the publisher. You're going to get everything that we get and then some. And apparently that wasn't good enough. So he went to regulators around the world and he lied. And we have proof that was unearthed as the opening salvo for the Microsoft and Activision attorneys. I mean, we know he's Jim Ryan lying, dance moves, whatever. But man, this is pretty damning. What were your takeaways from that?
My biggest takeaway was, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that was to the FTC, correct?
No, the email. I thought it was
him and.
Yeah, the way
that was between him and a Sony employee, then, right?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was Bungie specifically, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, either way, that's a smoking gun. Like, that's just, how are we still talking about this with that coming out first thing? It just seems so odd to me that the whole case was structured around them crying about losing Call of Duty, and then we find out that was never a fear in their eyes whatsoever. So what the hell are we doing here? Like, what was frustrating to me was also, that's the smoking gun. I mean, like, it should be game over right there, but we're continuing to go through the motions because this is how court systems work. This is just how it is. But to me, it felt like a game over moment. Now, I know in context, we got to understand this is Jim Ryan saying that he believes this is Microsoft's intentions is to not get rid of Call of Duty. So I don't know how much emphasis you can put on someone's belief that this is someone else's intentions, right? You know what I mean? Because there's no guarantee that Microsoft wouldn't do that, even though there's contracts. Like you were saying earlier, like has Microsoft broken a contract in the last 40 years? I don't know. I couldn't find any evidence of it either.
I went looking for it. Honestly, I went looking to see, because obviously there was a lot of criticism for Microsoft in the 90s for good reason. It was a bit of a boys club. It was we're the richest company, we do what we want kind of a situation.
Right.
But when it comes to contracts, Retro, I did not find anything about breach of contract when it comes to Microsoft, but specifically Xbox. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, and they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that because, as I've been saying for a long time, Microsoft's trying to play the good guy. So they're not going to breach a contract. They're sure as hell not going to do it around, right after a $70 billion deal because the FTC can go back after them. It doesn't end when this ends, right? That's how the FTC went after Facebook after the fact. Like that. I think people forget, like, just because it's over doesn't mean Microsoft can do a sneaky and do a 180. That ain't happening. That's not going to happen. They're not, first of all, they're not that stupid. Second of all, the FTC can come back after them.
Yes.
So I just don't see a world where that would ever happen. It doesn't make any sense to put a deal of this caliber and size in jeopardy. We're going to see some more stuff come out hopefully today. I'm excited to hear Spencer on the stand and everybody else.
Me too.
And it's very telling where you have Jim Ryan not showing up. This is so damn important. This is so dang important, right? That you have meetings instead of trying to kill the $70 billion deal that's supposedly going to take you out of business, which now we know is a complete and utter lie. Yeah, bullshit. Like, I'm sorry. It's, I'm swearing already. It's
no, that's all right. Listen,
come on,
early.
Dude. Are you kidding me with this guy? This guy just proved he's full of crap.
Yeah.
He absolutely proved it to us. Like, we already knew that, but now it's on digital ink. You know what I'm saying? But today's going to be very telling. Sarah Bond absolutely killed it. It was definitely interesting to see some of the FTC's lawyers and talking about exclusivity. I'm hoping about Microsoft's exclusivity and the Indiana Jones thing coming up, and I'm getting pissed off listening.
Yeah.
And going, man, I'll tell you right now, day 2, they better come out fucking swinging real hard about how PlayStation been doing this crap, money hat and everything under the sun, including marketing deals left and right. They better come out with that crap today, because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Like, why is it not okay for Microsoft to do the same thing that Sony's been doing for frickin' forever? Like, why is it looked down upon? Never mind when it's your own IPs, for God's sakes. Why aren't we playing Spider-Man on my Xbox?
Well, I actually said that before you jumped in. I said, I'm quite perturbed, or even dare say annoyed, at the fact that there is this double standard, not only in the gaming media, but on social media, that Sony's the only one allowed to have nice things, which is ridiculous to me, right?
Yeah,
I mean, why is it okay for? And again, just to add to your point, what people would be asking is, well, why can't I have Indiana Jones on PlayStation? Well, it's being developed by a first-party studio. So that's like saying, why can't I have Spider-Man on Xbox? Because it's being developed by a first-party studio. So what's the difference, Retry?
Mm-hmm. Nothing. And not that I'm like the guy who gives a crap about having exclusives, because the exclusive to me is Game Pass. Like, that's all that
I've been saying
matters.
That for years. Yeah.
Like, I don't care that it goes on PlayStation personally. It's kind of like it's a little tit for tat for the console war crap to go ha ha. And of course people took that when I put that out there yesterday that it was going to be exclusive, and they're like, oh god, now you're being one of those guys. I'm like, no, dude, I'm literally linking Verge's frickin' thing, just saying facts. You know what I mean? I think we've talked about that they need an IP kind of like Hogwarts or something like that to move the needle, and they did it. Like, they got exclusive rights. They worked with Disney. This is the stuff that I've been wanting Xbox to do more. This is a more aggressive Xbox. That's what I want to see. So if one side can do it, the other side should be able to do it. Why it gets mentioned in court that one side can do it and the other side can't, I don't know. I don't understand that. It makes zero sense to me. But I expect them to push back at that and just start, take out the laundry list of IPs that Sony has been doing money hatting for years, and just start going down the line, because then it's going to start looking real bad, I think, for PlayStation, who, after all this happens, I imagine is going to get investigated more and more often for their own practices. So if I were Sony, I would have laid off, because this should come, if the world is right and everything is on the right axis, then this should come back and bite Sony right in the ass, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, 100%. Listen, while we got you here, now I had said in the opening, folks, because we're going to get to the Indiana Jones thing, which I think is huge, and not because the film is coming out. It's Machine Games is doing it. Now, I know that I've seen a lot of pushback in the last couple of hours since yesterday about, well, it's Indiana Jones and Machine Games. They really just make first-person games, so I don't know what to expect. And look what happened with Redfall, because Arcane never misses, and they missed. This is a totally different thing, folks. This is being designed from the ground up, and the pressure on the studio to deliver is monstrous, because it's a licensed IP from LucasArts. They're not going to let anyone just take and do a Redfall to it. They're not going to pull a Redfall for Indiana Jones. But this was posted. See how about an hour and change ago. This comes the way of Destin Legary. Actually, it was posted at 2:33 a.m. Destin, what are you doing up, man? Maybe the kids
he's got
are
a
up.
kid.
Maybe,
So.
maybe the kids are up.
He's got the newborn.
So he posted. He goes, oh, this is interesting. Sony is scrambling to get something sealed before it's shown tomorrow, and he has the document highlighted here. It says introduction. Non-party Sony Interactive Entertainment LLC, SIE in quotations, requests that this court seal from public disclosure and permit in or on camera treatment of limited, highly sensitive business material. At issue in this motion are deposition designations that SIE received from the parties on June 21st and June 22nd, 2023, for potential use at the evidence hearing on June 23rd, 2023, and one related exhibit. So apparently the FTC has been got a request from Microsoft's attorney. I believe it's Beth Wilkinson, and to get this into court to use as their opening salvo, like they did yesterday with Jim Ryan's email, and they're trying to get it sealed. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if they have enough time to get it sealed. But I do have to do a quick shout out. Sarcastic Tourist, guys, this is pretty interesting. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with the court case or the deal itself, but it kind of does. And this is what Sarcastic Tourist dropped this into the DM. This comes the way, folks, of Florian Muller, who has just been nothing short of his own superhero, because that guy is like, just without him, we'd know nothing. And he's out there on the ground, like boots on the ground. He's in the courtroom. Now, guys, how many times have we heard from people in the community that have worked and fought against the CMA that they never change their decision? CMA, they get it, they lock it in. If they say no, it's no, and not even Jesus himself can fix it. Turns out that, in fact, is not the case, because the FOSS is reporting that the CMA has just revised its provisional findings in a merger case, one in which the merger was investigated after it happened, and not only dropped the part of the case, but it is now inclined to approve the deal, folks. And check this out. This is from the CMA. Apparently, it's Copart and Hills Motors merger inquiry regarding, I guess, it's car parts. They blocked the deal. And they have now put out a press statement saying, we have now revised our provisional findings considering new evidence that we have found, and we are now approving the deal. That sounds very similar to what could potentially happen with Microsoft, bid to get Activision, and that probably could happen in the coming days. That's pretty interesting stuff there, but.
You notice you're never going to find out what that new evidence is. They're just going to, that's when your back's against the wall and you go, well, new evidence came in, and it ain't probably new evidence. You just knew you were going to lose. So you just try to save face and go, oh, new evidence. So we got to, now we can change our minds on it.
I love it. I love it. Real quick, we have super chat came in from Richter D. Drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, smack that like button. It's a Starfield space pirate. Thank you so much for that, brother. Yeah, everyone, everyone is like going to be a pirate. I'm not. I'm going to be a lawman. I mean, I'm going
pirate.
I know you are. Pong is my own brother.
You're a good guy. I'm a bad guy.
My brother, Neo Mental. I know he's listening. That prick. He turned around and told me yesterday on the phone, "You're lucky this is not multiplayer, because I would kill you." Could you imagine that? My own brother. What a prick.
Hey, that's what brothers and friends do.
That's what brothers do.
Go right for the knees.
It's all about family, Boom.
It's about family. I'm a lawman. He's supposed to follow in his big brother's footsteps, but he's gonna be a pirate. I don't like it. He's Maxi Coleman drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, Xbox has so many exclusives they have to announce one in court. That is slanderous and hilarious. As you know, I saw someone put out there. I wish I could remember who it was. So I think it might have even been Tim Doyle, because Tim is, he's slanderous. I love Tim. He said that there were more exclusive games announced in the courtroom than it was at PlayStation's show.
I love that. Nice one, Tim. I didn't see that. That's good.
Oh my God, that is great. So, okay, being that we're on to exclusive, Retri, I'm going to go to you first. How big of a deal is this? Because, like I said, we know Phil Spencer said many, many years ago, like when they did the Tomb Raider exclusive, that Xbox themselves did not have their own Nathan Drake, but now they do. And it's not even Nathan Drake. It is the originator.
It's the original Nathan Drake. Yeah. It's what all these games spawned off of.
Yeah.
It's what all of these games spawned off of.
So let's talk about it. How big of a deal is this for Xbox and its fans?
I think it's a huge deal. I think it's a very big deal. I mean, it's first of all, it's an exclusive with Disney that most of us discounted, including myself. I just didn't see Disney agreeing to it because Disney likes money, and we know it would sell more if it was also not an exclusive to PC and Xbox ecosystem. So yeah, it's huge. Like, I don't know how you can undersell this. Of course, I had people coming at me yesterday, big surprise, saying that it's going to be a bunch of only 40-year-olds that play this. Nobody knows who Indiana Jones is. Maybe that's true. Maybe I'm just an old guy and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But listen, majority of our players are 30 plus, so go F yourself, calling me old, first of all. Second of all, like, I think it's a recognizable IP. It's the movie's out. The younger audience are going to be able to see that same movie. It's not like it's not like it's invisible to the younger audience. So you know, I take offense to you calling me old, you jerk. But anyways, I do think it's a big deal. I think it's a great IP. I've been asking for things just like this for Xbox to do. They're doing it. I think it's going to do gangbusters. I definitely trust the studio. I mean, I trust Machine Games. I think they make great games. I think choosing them to do this IP was a good choice, in my opinion. So I think it's huge. I think it's going to move some consoles. I wish it was coming out around the same time as the film. That's not going to happen, obviously, but you know, it is.
I mean, I will say, if you want to stoke the fires, you release a gameplay trailer, maybe,
yes.
right? Like, you know,
yes.
like, hey, Xbox, you know, hey, gaming community, check out this new Xbox exclusive. Yeah, that'd be pretty big.
I agree. I mean, I think that makes sense as long as they have something ready. I mean, that's kind of like marketing 101. I think that's what they should do if they have something prepared. And if they don't, then they don't. A lot of times, like, how many times have we said, like, it would make a lot of sense if this game came out around the movie, and it almost never happens. Like, it's very rare that they actually coincide just because of production. And, you know, you gotta release it when you have to release it. You can't wait a year or two for either the game or the movie to catch up. It just doesn't make any sense financially. But either way, I think this is definitely good news for Xbox, good news for us gamers. It's not about console war stuff for me. It's just something, for my opinion, for Microsoft as a company to do. This was a good move. And it kind of goes along, like, I know I've crapped on Xbox marketing, but one thing we found out yesterday that pissed me off, what didn't really surprise me, is that Microsoft had the opportunity to get Call of Duty marketing and just refused it.
Yes.
And those are the moves that piss me off, guys. Like, that's the stuff we're talking about. That you scratch your head and you're like, why, Microsoft, did you not at least try to bid on marketing for Call of Duty? They didn't even try. Didn't even show up.
Yeah, but the only thing I push back on that, Retri, is and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no, you're good.
It's the amount of money that Sony was willing to pay. I guarantee you was something that wouldn't have been cost effective.
Dave.
That's
100%. Like, no. There's there is two sides to this with me as well. Is the juice worth the squeeze, right?
Yeah.
And I agree with you. You're probably 100% right. It was probably an astronomical number that just didn't make sense. I mean, look what happened yesterday. We also find out, they screwed up. Sony's trying to hide this confidential crap while Xbox just got their 80-20 split just got revealed, which, by the way, was confidential. Well, we weren't supposed to know about that. That was supposed to be hidden, and this lawyer screw up. So you know what I mean? Like, that's one of those things where you're like, dude, what the hell? Like, you just tipped your hat. You just probably pissed off a bunch of other people that got the 70-30 split. You just let everyone know that we gave them 80-20. But I agree with you, Dave. Like, it probably wasn't worth it to Microsoft, but as we know, they have a bigger piggy bank. And sometimes you just take it on the chin to you take that loss. Sometimes you got to take the loss. And in my opinion, I kind of feel like COD is one you might want to take the loss on in the beginning.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Who
They
cares?
liked
They're
it
gonna
so
own 'em.
much they bought the company.
Right,
Oh,
who cares?
hey.
They're gonna own them.
Exactly.
Exactly. So it's not gonna matter.
Here we got. We'll one up your deal. Well, instead of
Yeah.
that 2080, why don't we just take it all?
For all we know, Dave, they've known. Look, Microsoft's not stupid. They've probably been planning on possibly getting Activision for years. So they're like, we're gonna pass on the marketing thing because we're not gonna have to worry about that soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So who knows how long they actually knew. But yeah.
Well, I mean, Florian just started his tweet brigade, if you will. He says this, folks: day 2 of ABK PI hearing. First tweet of today's courtroom thread. Phil Spencer is wearing a tie unlike yesterday for his testimony, which will begin in about 35 minutes. He says, let's see if he stays on or flies back after his testimony. I mean, we don't know. He's probably going to stay. I would imagine he's going to stay to hear what he has to, just in case they call him again. But I'm not sure if anyone can confirm who's calling. Is it at the FTC or is it because I know Amy Hood is supposed to be there as well, and I think she's being called by the attorneys for Microsoft and Activision. Whereas I don't know if Phil's being requested by the FTC, like they have some sort of a smoking gun to try and get him to, I don't know, lie or jumble.
That's what they're claiming, right? Boom. They got all those little tidbits of smoking guns.
Yeah, they have a ton of evidence.
Sure,
they have so much evidence for the next trial that it's probably never going to get to the next trial. There you go.
Yeah.
Dave, let's get your hot take on this, brother. I mean, obviously, Indiana Jones, monster IP, movies coming out this year is definitely is going to be the last hurrah for Harrison Ford. I don't know what happens after this. Like, does he ride off to the sunset and we just never hear again, or are they going to recast and make a younger one and just tell other stories? Who knows? But this is a really big deal, and this came out. This was not expected to come out yesterday, and it did. And we know that Phil Spencer went back to Disney and negotiated this being locked down. What are your thoughts, man?
I think it's great. It's what they want to do. And for anybody that complains about, oh, there's see how they are taking stuff again, it's like, well, then you can just look at all the, like you said, Spider-Man and Wolverine and all those games that are exclusive to Sony, and that's part of the industry. That's what they do. So if they're able to work out a deal to get that, more power to them. I mean, that's the way it is. Now, something so big like the Call of Duty, that they want it to be on multiple platforms. That's that's you can see how that's gonna remain multiple. So, but no, I think it's I think if they didn't at least try, an Xbox community would be like, what the hell, why didn't you at least, try? And then they tried and they succeeded, because I'm sure they probably came at, and they've already had good dealings with Disney. Disney's working with them on Sea of Thieves and some other things that they're doing with them. So I have a good relationship with them. So and if you look at it, it's like, well, quote unquote, Disney owns, Marvel, they own Lucasfilms. So it's like if they're actually getting, Sony to have their brand for Spider-Man, then, a Lucasfilm production of Indiana Jones only makes sense. And for them to go at them and say, hey, look, we're going to put it in Game Pass, and here's, what you'll get if we put it in Game Pass. And they're like, oh, cool. That's, they're going to get coverage, exposure, PC, Xbox. They're going to have a lot of different ecosystems that it's going to drop on. Combined with the Xbox ecosystem, because it is so broad, and that it's not going to be on Sony is probably not that big a deal. As far as to Lucasfilm / Disney, because they had to have offered them a good amount to make this happen. So it's not like it's Disney's not going to be hurting because of the deal, because they wouldn't have taken it if it was a quote unquote bad deal. So I think that's for us as a as a consumer, and ones that I really enjoy the ecosystem for Microsoft. That this is what Phil needs to be doing. We've talked about why don't they try this, and why don't they get this, and why don't when they get superheroes, and well Indiana Jones is a different kind of superhero, but he's like you said, he's got a brand new movie out now. He's it's a decade franchise of probably in the top 50 greatest movies of all time, quote unquote. The really big start to the summer blockbuster was Indiana Jones original, and that's kind of where they where that all came from. And so it's a win-win for Microsoft, and I think that there's a lot more in the pipeline that we don't know about that won't unfortunately come out. There won't be a world premiere on trial, but you never know. There's a lot of stuff that can come out. The grilling that Phil's going to get today is it has the potential to be really, really deep, and they can really come at him. But Phil's smart, incredibly intelligent, and very good at his wording. Because he does these interviews.
He's a king of PR.
Exactly, man. They're
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to fall for a gotcha. I think if anything, he's going to be able to explain his way out of any quote unquote gotcha situation they try and put him in, to where it's like it's going to end up making Microsoft look good, and Phil will have no problem, because there is no strike that for the record, because the judge is the only one hearing everything. And the judge wants to hear everything. So if it gets brought up or mentioned, you're not going to hear it at this type of trial. That there's well, judge, you need to not forget that you heard that. That's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And so everything they can get out that gives the judge more ammunition for her final decision. I really feel like this is just a tidal wave of goodness for Microsoft coming their way, because the FTC, like you said, doesn't have a case. And when it comes down to it, if you take a big step back, it's like, why are they being this way? Why is it also? It's political. And I know we don't get political here, and I'm not trying to take it down that road, but I'm just saying it is, Lena Khan has a mandate from who put her in that position, who recommended her, which was the Biden administration. And they're trying to go after big tech. Well, the funny thing about that is one of the things that really backfired on them was that when they got this ball rolling, and they're like, because Biden is big on the unions, and then when the unions are like, hey, we all support this, Biden's like, holy shit. And not want to say Biden, but his people, his team, the Democratic Party, were not expecting
Warren and all them.
Exactly. They weren't expecting that kind of feedback. Because Warren, is a prime example. She was day one out there like, blah, 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 this is bad. And then all the unions
shut up about it. And I'm a Democrat, by the way, just FYI. And I was pissed off. I'm like, all the unions just across the world supported this.
The world, not just America,
what
too.
What the hell is wrong with you guys? What are you thinking?
Yeah. So again, it's a win-win for unions. It's a win-win for the consumer. So it's a
win for devs and their pay. Because of that union come in, their pay's automatically going up. Guaranteed. Oh, sorry, I got a phone call here.
And another thing that was brought out, I guess, from Pete Hines, I guess, that we were an independent developer, programmer, and then we had to try and make the best pitch we could, and obviously they wanted it on everything. But then once we have Microsoft's backing and the support, which he has stressed, and even Todd has said numerous times, it's been the best thing for them, because it gave them proper English. It gave them the ability to not have to worry about making payroll, making this, making that. They just go in and make great games, and they're able to focus on that. And that's what having a huge partner in Microsoft is doing for these companies. And when that Activision you know, we know how ruthless Bobby Kotick is. We heard about it yesterday. So, if you get quote unquote Bobby on your side to where you can get him out of the way, that's going to be great for that company. And Microsoft is going to be the best thing that ever happened to ABK. Period.
1,000%. Listen, again, obviously, I don't know if people are going to hang around. The trial is supposed to, the hearing, keep calling it a trial. The hearing is supposed to start in 14 minutes. I'm not going to watch it live here. We are going to cover one more topic. We're going to end the show a little bit early today. Obviously, I want to, take notes because we're going to be talking about this on Monday. But I do want to bring up something that did come up that was pretty interesting, and I want to get everyone's hot take on this. Is being reported, and this happened yesterday. Sony says it will withhold PlayStation 6 details from Activision if they are acquired by Microsoft, and this comes the way of Tom Ivan of VGC. Pretty interesting stuff here. According to the report, Sony Interactive Entertainment (SIE) has said it would withhold details about its next console from Activision if Call of Duty maker is acquired by Microsoft. Now, they pulled the story originally reported by Axios, but during a deposition in April, SIE boss Jim Ryan told the U.S. Federal Trade Commission that the company's past collaboration with Activision led to the development of better features on PlayStation consoles that helped the hardware stand out from the competition. But were Activision to be purchased by Microsoft, that partnership would be lost, according to Jim Ryan. This is what he had to say. We simply could not run the risk of a company that was owned by a direct competitor having access to that information, told Jim Ryan tells regulators. And
so full of it.
It's ridiculous.
Because
Minecraft, they have the information.
They
Minecraft.
What are you talking about?
And don't they get the Xbox information from MLB The Show?
Yes, of course.
I don't know. So ridiculous.
Yeah.
Let's get your hot take on this, Retri. This is another.
This guy's lying again.
Lie. It's lying.
This guy's full of crap.
Again.
Like I don't understand how you tell. So Mojang, like, they didn't get any of this information. Like, I don't understand this whatsoever. It feels like a 6-year-old who's going, yeah, you took my toys away, and like, what I mean. Like, it feels odd. Look, we always talking about parity. Like, oh, like, how many times has PlayStation complained about that? So now we're talking. Now he's bringing up Activision and Call of Duty games getting special treatment on their platform because they know about the technology ahead of time. What the hell is going on? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
If you're so concerned about parity, there shouldn't be any. If on one hand you're talking about worried about parity in the future, and now you're talking about withholding information which would guarantee not having parity in the future. What the hell are you talking about, dude? You're talking about both sides. Talking about both sides of your mouth here. This guy's full of crap. And you will notice that in those documents, once they mention Mojang, guess what? Redacted. Gee whiz, I wonder why. Like, so whatever Jim Bryan said about that in the Mojang side, obviously was like, yeah, but you know what I mean? It was redacted because it was a stupid point, most likely, because Mojang has that information, which in turn means Xbox has that information, which means probably everybody has that information. So this kind of feels like an empty threat, almost back at Activision, saying, well, you might not have the best running game on the console that sells the most amount of Call of Duty units, essentially. I call BS. I think he's just. I don't believe it for a second, not at all. I think they'll get the information for sure. Like, how are you going to deny one of your biggest money makers?
It doesn't even make any sense. Like,
it makes zero sense. It literally hurts yourself. Yes. It's shooting yourself in the foot. Boom. It makes
what's interesting, Retri? This is coming off the heels that if we lose Call of Duty, everyone's going to run for the hills and PlayStation is dead. Now you're saying hey, Call of Duty, we're not going to give you our stats because you're going to then give them to Xbox and they're going to beat our hardware. They're beating your hardware like right now. Your hardware is literally catching fire playing your Final Fantasy 16 exclusive, like literally catching fire as we speak. And you're worried about, come on.
Sony said the game was hot. Boom.
They said it was hot. They sure.
It's Final Fantasy hot.
Yeah, Final Fantasy melting hot.
By the way, it looks like, hey, I'd shout out to King. It looks like there might be a PS6, my brother. I'm just saying.
Maybe. We will see.
It's coming, guys.
Real quick, Trey Bone 408 drops a very generous $2 super chat and says streaming MK1 stress test right now and eyes emoji Mr. Boom. Yeah, I'm sure the game is going to be amazing. I already got the deluxe edition pre-ordered, as I know I would. I love Mortal Kombat, and I can't wait to play. It's going to be amazing. Lost Boomer drops a very generous £1 super chat. Hey, brother, thank you so much for the generosity, and thanks so much for being here. Dreadful Sean drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, one thing I want to know is why does the FTC have a boxed PS5 at the trial?
Yeah,
I don't know, but that is weird if they do. Like
they were bringing it in this morning. You can see the lawyers. They literally had all the paperwork and a PS5 in hand.
I think they're using a PS5 as a doorstop so they can get the car. That's what I'm thinking.
Jesus Christ. They're so dumb. The FTC is they're so embarrassing. Sith Lord drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, interesting day as Phil and Jim take the stand. I don't think Jim is taking the stand. I don't think so. I know Phil's definitely going to be there. I know Amy Hood's going to be there. And I think someone from Stadia is supposed to be there. I don't know what they're gonna do for them. I mean, Stadia decided to jump out of the business.
They're gonna blame Microsoft for them leaving their own business. Watch.
Well, that's probably not going to go well considering how many things Google kills on a regular basis. But that's here nor there. Let's get Fuzzy's hot take on this particular information. I mean, do you find it to be, again, it's Jim Ryan doublespeak? We're not going to give you our information so you can put Call of Duty on, but if Call of Duty is not on our box, we're dead. Like, it's just dumb.
It's like if you were, using, like, let's say Exxon gas or something like that, and Exxon acquired, or you're the least favorite company that makes fuel, like Sunoco or something, acquired them. Oh, you're not going to fuel your car, so you're just going to drive it until it runs out of gas, kind of thing.
Exactly.
It's a kid throwing a tantrum, much like Richie was saying. It doesn't make sense at all, especially considering for MLB they'll have Xbox info, or they'll have to have the PS6 info for Mojang with Minecraft, and the biggest one that they would have to worry about would be AMD. Like, AMD, yes, I know they each are clients of AMD, but you got to be kidding me if you don't think that some of the info slips, or this chip is reserved for one of our customers. Oh, well, this was the chip we were looking for, type of thing. It's a silly approach, and I almost hope that they do, for the fact that it would probably shoot themselves in the foot. Like, unless they force Bungie to do a complete 180 as far as making Marathon exclusive, which I'm counting down the days now, if that happens, on when Bungie goes independent again. They've done it with Microsoft before. They've done it with Activision, and I could see them leaving Sony as well. There'll be an exit clause that they probably have in there where, if you force exclusivity, we're out the door, kind of thing. So it's a silly approach. It's a veiled threat that just, it makes them look, more childish than serious at this point. I don't know why they would do that. Like, if anything, with them being the market leader and wanting to have the hottest software at day one, and you're going to go ahead and withhold the hardware, then when the game comes out buggy, you can't really point the finger at Microsoft if you wait until the 11th hour to send them the hardware to build the game for, or to optimize the game for. So it's silly. I hope there's some pushback as far as the mentioning for optimization timeframes and the whole thing where they were saying, oh, well, Xbox will just make it, or Microsoft will make it a worse port for our PlayStation. Well, you're causing that by withholding the hardware to do the port for. So, I mean, this would force exclusivity to some extent, whether it be 6 months or a year. It's like, hey, Well, we don't have the hardware to optimize for it. Well, it's only on Xbox and PC for now. Hey, Nintendo's the Switch 2 or Switch Pro or whatever it's going to be called, the Super Switch. We already have those dev kits. So yeah, we'll have it on all these platforms but PlayStation for at least the first 6 months to a year, because they're taking their ball and going home. So that's all I got.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's a dumb statement. It's more lies. And is anyone here surprised that it's to the FTC? Like, I mean, the FTC is it is shocking to me that the collusion aspect of the CMA has not been brought to light any further than we've already talked about it. And now you're seeing this go on where the FTC is basically in bed with Sony. They're basically they've carved out a market that there are only two participants, being Sony versus Microsoft. Microsoft is in second place at any angle the FTC tries to make it. Could it be any more corrupt? That's my question. But you know what, Dan, let's bring in the Web Dave and get his last his opinion on this, folks. And we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna get out of here a little early because I want everyone to go and watch the trial. I want to watch the trial. And obviously next week we'll be back to our normal 2-hour program. Dave, let's get your hot take on this. Is this surprising at all, knowing that Jim Ryan is, well, ultimately lying again? I mean, when does somebody hold him accountable is what I think everybody wants to know.
Yeah. If he was actually at the trial.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Yeah, that's that'd be Jim. But no, on the I was talking to my son about this because I had made that comment to him and said, "Oh, look what Sony's trying to do," and he brought it back to the clearest level because he's way smarter than I am. Shout out to Logan. That the process that they were talking about, the advantage is that if Blizzard in the past has gotten all the information ahead of time, before they get their kits about this is what we're going to be doing. This is an advantage for you to do this, and this is what we're working for, and this is how the system's going to fall into place. So yes, is it an advantage and something they can get started on sooner to be deeper into the production of the game? Sure, but when it comes down to it, Activision is going to get a dev kit day one, like every other maker for a game for that system. So there is his argument is strictly for play, fanboys.
Yep. I agree.
And probably on the board members, trying to, we're making threats, veil as they may be. And really, when it comes down to it, it's not, I want to call it a nothing burger, because it definitely, I'm sure it was an advantage to know these kind of things. But Activision is such, and they have so many people that work on these games, it's not going to be a problem. And if it did come down to there being, well, look, this doesn't look as good on the PlayStation as it does the Xbox, then they can come out and say, well, we didn't have any advanced information. We went with what we had, and this is what we made because of what you let us know about. And they'll make that clear to everybody who owns a PlayStation 5 that, you can blame Sony for any issues.
Yeah, I think it's really just dumb. It's more rhetoric, more lies, more nonsense from Jim Ryan. The fact that the FTC is so hell bent on blocking this deal that they're willing to believe someone that they know, and that's the thing that's crazy.
Yep.
Like, you have the documents that he said one thing and did a whole different other thing, and somehow that's still not the smoking gun. And you're still using this guy as a conversational piece to push a narrative from a 33-year-old who does not deserve the position that she's in. She's being investigated for abuse of authority, and there's a reason for it, folks. She's being sued, or the FTC is being sued by a company that they blocked the deal on for no reason other than, well, we can just block into you, take your ball and go home. That's
so they
illegal.
ran out of money.
Yeah, until you run out of money, which is
money.
illegal. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, let me read the last two. So first of all, Kay Asante in the chat drops a very. He's been a channel member for 13 months. He says, "Good day to Gamers Council, Mr. Boomstick in chat." Wait, did I miss the Fuzzy Belvedere face reveal? Salute to my brother.
Good to see you, Fuzzy. Good to see you.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. And we also have a couple super chats in here. Tom from Tanami. Tom, what's up, brother? He drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says, Mr. Spencer, where do you put the Windows key to start a PlayStation 5? FTC? Probably. I mean, you're not wrong.
Oh, boy.
Highlander 001 drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says, my father said if it's important to you, you make the time to get to it or get it done. And that's a fine words. This is important to Phil, not so much for lying Jim Ryan. Absolutely. If Jim Ryan really thought that he was, his mission to block this was righteous, he would have been there. The reason why he's not there is probably because the FTC asked him not to be there, because if he gets cross-examined,
I agree.
It's destroyed. The case is destroyed. Jim, you said this to the FTC, because I can imagine a more say, okay, Jim, so when you
which one is it
to the FTC, this is what you said. Is that true? Yes. Do you believe that? Yes, I believe that. Then what are his emails?
And why are we doing here?
What are we doing here? He'd be destroyed. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it. Again, it's a 90-minute version of Breakfast with Boom today. Let's get to the outros. Retry, brother, thanks so much for joining us for about an hour. Super appreciate you being here. Sell your brand, brother. Talk about Game Pass _daily, where they can get their daily fix of everything and anything Xbox. Of course, you're going to be teaming up once again on Sunday with Dave on Gamers Council. Talk about that, and where can people reach out to you on social media?
You guys can find me Game Pass _daily on Twitter. Don't forget that underscore between the Game Pass and the daily. And Game Pass daily on YouTube, where I obviously talk all about Game Pass. I'm not probably doing a video today because I'm going to be following the FTC case very closely and watching it, hopefully, so we can come up with good material later. And of course, Gamers Council, Web Dave, every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have a good show this week. We're obviously going to be talking about ABK, Indiana Jones, and all kinds. I got a lot of topics. It might, Dave, get ready. This might be a long show, brother. So like, come on by, guys. Appreciate it.
It should be fun. And we got to get you to 1,000 subscribers on your channel, brother. If you're not following him, if you're not subbed to his channel, you're doing it wrong, folks. I'll put all of Retry's information in there. 2 clicks, you're in. If you want to be generous,
they're in the chat too. They just dropped them in the chat.
Thank you, brothers. I super appreciate that. Dave, you know what? Let's sell your brand, brother. Talk about the Gamers Council podcast. You and Retry every Sunday. Every week you deliver great content with a lot of very interesting points. Of course, you do your interviews, some of the best in the business. Where can people subscribe to your YouTube channel? More importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Thanks, Boom. Appreciate it. And just a heads up that there was another super chat.
Yep, I see it. Gamer by choice. Good friend of the program.
So, do you want to read that now? Or
yeah, FTC, he says this after dropping a very generous $5 super chat. Says FTC does not need Sony to be believable. They just need someone to use in their arguments. Now we know the arguments were not great. Yep, there you go. Perfect example.
Yeah, and so shout out to everybody in chat. Thank you all for being here. A big shout out to Boss Mod Lethal Papa, who is amazing and keeps the chat in line. It makes it safe for everybody to enjoy this great show that Boom puts out. And I did actually have somebody ask me in a private DM, "Who's the new guy on the show?" And it's like, it's Fuzzy. Fuzzy.
Who's that handsome fella?
Who's that big sexy man? Yes, sexy man. I love it. But no, it's great to be here, man. I love the show. And of course, we got the show this weekend. I have an interesting drop on Monday. Some people might like it. Some people are going to hate it. And it's one of those things where I try to get all the voices of the people that are in the community. So I have Lono from Reforge Gaming interview dropping Monday on my channel. And there's some interesting things about him that you will find out only in this interview. So that's all I'm going to say about it. And no, I'm not. I didn't try and be confrontational with him. It wasn't my goal is to get people out there to where they can understand and maybe, If you hate him, you'll probably hate him even more. But I'm just kidding. If you like him, maybe you'll like him even more. Or if you're on the fence, maybe at least know more about him. And also, I'm gonna drop in Fuzzy's information too in the chat because I know he's up next. But that way, people have got his YouTube channel there. So.
I dropped yours too, Dave. I guess we're all supporting each other.
We are teamwork, baby.
That's right.
Well, listen, brother, thank you so much for being here at Fuzzy Belvedere. Let's sell your brand, brother, because we got to get you to 1K on your YouTube channel. One of the best places for anything and everything in the racing genre. And obviously, you're going to be up to your eyeballs in racing this October when Forza Motorsport drops. Please, where can people find you on social media? But more importantly, subscribe to your YouTube channel.
Well, just want to thank you for having me on today and also having Retri on today. It was awesome hearing your takes on things, Retri. Always love hearing your feedback. And it's always great being here with you, Boom and Dave. Love being on this podcast with you guys and look forward to Monday as well with hopefully we get some more bombshells from the trial today. But for those that want to hear my rambles or rants on anything gaming related or, anything on upcoming Forza stuff, as well as, things on GT7 or Unbound, just follow me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. And you can also find me on YouTube, Fuzzy Belvedere, all one word. And then you can also find me later on tonight on Xbox Ultimate Podcast on Fun Speculations channel at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Saturday for the Shop Podcast at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PTK Blam's channel. And then right back here on Monday for the Xbox Lunch Break Special at 12 noon. Look forward to seeing you guys there.
Thank you so much, brother. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have the link for the if I'm able to get a hold of the link, I will drop it into follow me on Twitter at Mr. BoomStick XL. I'm going to put it out there if I find it, but I'm going to say a big thank you to all of the super chats that came in. We had over 700 people here as well. Thank you so much for supporting Double Barrel Gaming each and every show. And obviously we do this 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, all great content, all great panels. And we never sell you with hate or nonsense to get your click or like. So, of course, please, on the way out, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And, of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day will be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me with kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.